Hey friends, this is Zander Fryer with Shit You Don't Learn in College, and today we're going to be talking about how to master your inner critic. Now, our life is just a series of decisions that we make. It's a series of decisions that every moment of every day is dictated by, and whether you go one direction or another, most of the time is dictated by what's going on in your head. We all have that little voice in our head that's telling us to go big and go for more, and then another little voice in our head that's telling us to play it safe. We all have that little inner critic, and none of us talk about it very much because it's the scary, smaller, weak version of us. And I want to show you how to master this inner critic, because the truth is, the more that you can learn to make decisions from a place of purpose and less from a place of fear, the more successful you'll feel, the more fulfilled you'll feel, the more money you'll have, more abundance you'll have in your life. But the more that we make decisions from that little scared voice inside of our head, the more stuck we'll feel, the more frustrated we'll feel, the more unhappy we'll be with our lives. So being able to master this inner critic is an absolutely paramount thing that you have to learn in order to be successful in life. So I want to give you the 5 tips to master that inner critic. Now, let's dig in. Tip number 1. And this is just really understanding where this voice even comes from in our brain. Now, did you know that 95% of your brain is your subconscious mind? Only 5% of your brain is that conscious, intelligent thinking version of you, but 95% is the subconscious, and it's heavily programmed by our evolutionary programming and our upbringing, and you're 5 times more likely to be programmed by negative experiences than by positive ones. Now, this makes sense as evolutionary man because these programmings are set to keep you alive, right? Now, when you're first born, you're only born with 2 fears. The fear of loud noises and the fear of heights, which makes sense because as evolutionary man or caveman, you don't want to have a baby just randomly wander off the edge of a cliff, and you don't want to have a baby when it hears a saber-toothed tiger growl to go towards it, right? So, makes sense. 2 evolutionary programmed fears, but the rest are all socially or personally programmed fears. The things that we've gone through emotional situations or repetition in our brain to create situations in our lives that we're afraid of. Now, I want you to think, for example, of glossophobia. Glossophobia is the fear of public speaking, right? Think about what happens if you were to get on stage in front of an audience of 100 people, right? Your body responds the exact same way that it would if you were about to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, right? You start to sweat, your arms start to get sweaty, and it's like a weird smelly sweaty because you want to taste weird to the tiger, right? That's what your body's trying to do, is trying to taste bad to the tiger. The blood rushes to your extremities, your arms and your legs, so you can run or fight. Your eyes widen, your neck stiffens so you can spot the saber-toothed tiger and you can fight it if you need to. You go into a complete fight or flight response like you're about to die, but you're not. Now, this is where that inner critic comes from. That little voice inside of our head is a programming designed to help keep us safe. It's designed to help keep us from being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. But now in the modern era, it reacts to things like getting on stage in front of an audience. We're not gonna die by getting up on stage unless you have a heart attack, that God forbid, right? But most of you are not gonna die if you got up on stage in front of an audience, but your body and your brain still responds like you would. This is where a majority of the inner critic voices come from. They're designed to keep you alive, but I don't know if you've checked the bathroom. No saber-toothed tigers. Now, the next step to mastering your inner critic is noticing that there's another voice in your head. In your head, you always have this inner critic voice, and then you have a higher purpose voice, is what I call it, right? A good friend of mine, Bedros Keuilian, calls it the little bitch voice and the higher purpose voice. So in our head, we always have these 2 voices. We have one version of us that is this tiny, weak, scared version of us that just wants to be safe and just wants to survive and wants to be comfortable. And then there's a higher purpose version of us. And this higher purpose version of us is loving and purposeful and intentional and courageous, and it does all the things that we want to do. It's like that Disney character, that hero that overcomes all the odds and does all the things that he needs to do. And we have these 2 voices in our head. Now, the truth is, you always have the ability to be either one of these people. And like I mentioned, our lives are just a series of decisions that we make. So you need to learn, whenever you're making a decision, do I go left or do I go right? The more often you choose to listen to the higher purpose voice, the more successful you'll be. the more often you choose to listen to that fear-based inner bitch voice, the more unfulfilled, the more stuck, the more unhappy you'll be. By the end of your life, I want you to think about this. Which voice? Which voice do you want to have listened to more? Which brings us to number 3 when it comes to overcoming that inner critic inside our head. Change the question that you're asking yourself. Most of the time, the inner critic in our head is asking us very negative questions. What if it doesn't work? What if you fail? Right? And then we marinate on, oh, what if it doesn't work? Then this will happen and that'll really suck. And what if I fail? This will happen and that will really suck. What if she dumps me? What if he's cheating on me? What if, and they're all these negative questions. One of the most empowering things that you can do is change the question. What if this does work? What if I could be that person? What if I could run a 7-figure business and I didn't take the chance? What if I could impact thousands of lives by doing XYZ and I didn't go for it? Change the way you frame the question. If you change the way you frame the question, you will instantaneously start to think more positively. What if I could achieve all of my dreams? And you can even take it one step further. How would I feel about this decision 5 years from now? When you're making these decisions in your life, ask yourself, how am I going to feel about this decision 5 years from now? How am I going to feel about this decision when I'm on my deathbed? Think about that. When you're looking back on your life, are you going to go, man, I'm so grateful that I played it safe? Or are you going to go, man, I'm so glad I played all out. I really went for it and I learned a lot, got some bruisings along the way. But man, I lived life to its fullest and I have no regrets. That's the question that you want to ask yourself. Tip number 4 for mastering the inner critic. Now I know, like I mentioned, we all have this version of us going on in our head, and I don't care what level you're at, we all have it going on in our head. It really just becomes about whether or not you listen to that inner critic and you make decisions from the point of that inner critic. So how do you start to get better at not making decisions around the inner critic? Well, we mentioned that our brain is 95% subconscious and only 5% conscious. So, well, we need to get conscious of the unconscious decisions we're making. So on a daily basis, this is something that I recommend to my clients, on a daily basis, review the decisions that you've made. This takes 5 minutes. Did I make any decisions today from a place of fear that I shouldn't have? Did I make any decisions today from a place of purpose that I'm really proud of? That's it. If you were to ask that question to yourself every single day, by the end of a year, you will have asked that question 365 times. You will have started to change habits. You will have started to change decision-making processes. And by the end of 1 year, you wouldn't even recognize yourself. You would start to give up all of the fear-based decision-making and you would start to take in all of the courageous, purposeful decision-making process just by reviewing it 5 minutes every single day. So don't be afraid to take a look at how you're responding, because if you want to take the unconscious mind and you want to turn it into conscious so that you can start to change, you have to take a look at it. And sometimes that's a little bit scary. Now, the last tip that I want to give you to help you overcome this inner critic is to develop the habit of doing things that scare you so that you have proof that the inner critic is a liar. When the inner critic says you can't do this, and you've done other things that have scared you in the past and been successful, you go, well, I can because I've done this before. And that inner critic will start to shut up. If every single day you do something uncomfortable, you'll start to develop the habit of pushing past your comfort zone. When I first quit my job and I started as an entrepreneur, I told myself something very clear. Right now, I don't have all the skills that I need to be a 7-figure business owner, but I know that I can learn them. And in order to learn them, I have to become more. I have to become a bigger, better person, and I have to let go of my fears and let go of that inner critic version of me. So if I want to grow and I want to become more, well, the fastest way to grow is to do something outside of your comfort zone. So I'm going to do that every single day. And every single day that I woke up, I did something uncomfortable. And man, they were uncomfortable things. One time I called an ex-girlfriend and asked her for feedback on our relationship. That was weird. I told my mom, my mom's Pakistani, so telling a brown mom, I said, I don't want you to call me for the next 6 months because I need to focus on my business. Wow, you can't do that with a brown mom, right? Well, I did. It was a very uncomfortable conversation, but it was amazing, right? The truth is, if you focus on doing something uncomfortable every single day, you'll start to get very comfortable getting uncomfortable. Another thing that you can do, just little things, right? One of the things when I was single, I used to say every single day, I just want to give a compliment to a beautiful girl every single day. I wasn't trying to hit on them. I wasn't trying to be creepy. I just wanted to give a compliment, make someone's day. That's it, right? Do something that makes you uncomfortable every single day and it'll stop being uncomfortable for you. The more that you do this, the more you'll start to quiet that inner critic because it'll realize, man, every time I say that he or she can't do something, they go and do it, so I'm just gonna shut my mouth. That's how you master your inner critic. In the end, we're all gonna have this little voice inside of our head that wants to hold us down. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is whether or not you learn to listen to it or to go, oh, thank you, little voice, but I'm not taking your input right now. I'm moving forward. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, go ahead and hit the like button and let me know. If you have any specific topics you want me to cover in any future trainings, go ahead and comment them below as well. And do not forget to subscribe to this channel so you never miss another great video, and I'll see you in there.